I should start. I come from the Caribbean, and that's the literature that's formed what I write. And a big part of participating in that literature is having a, a very malleable concept of what English is and how English works and what you're allowed to do to English. Um, it's it's understanding that every variety of English is a variety of English, that the Queen's English is a dialect. Um, and that's a kind of it's a very enabling and a powerful way to think of English as this thing that takes on different shapes when it's in the mouths of different speakers. Um, and so yeah, it just seems to tie in with what I've always felt about the English language and its multiple varieties, which is, as I said, it's a very enabling thing. You just feel that different strokes for different folks. People write in different rhythms and different things affect the source of their creativity. Um, it, for me, blogging helps. I think writing is a muscle, and the more you use it, is the more you're using that muscle. Um, it's it's interesting how when you write blogs regularly, something I tell my students because I teach as well. I mean, it's so hard to get to the moment when you know how to write a clean sentence, a simple sentence that is unadorned, that doesn't try too hard, but that is clear, precise, sharp, says its meaning, um, without clutter. And I think blogging teaches you how to do that. It just teaches you how to get to the point quickly, to write clearly, um, and also because you can't be as indulgent as a literary writer might be, it forces you to kill the fluff. But I am constantly aware of the many performances that a poem might do. There's a performance that it does on the stage when you vocalize it, but there's a way it performs itself on the page. That kind of dichotomy between page poetry and stage poetry is one that's never made sense to me. It's just that they perform in different ways. Um, but I think what you're hinting at is it probably goes back to this concept of global English. I mean, the cartographer tries to map a way to Zion is I mean, probably it's my most political book of poetry so far. Uh, and a big part of the politics, the obvious politics that it's getting involved in is the act of cartography. How do we map places? How do we draw maps and what's involved in that? Because maps always pretend to be innocent and they're not. Maps are often kinds of colonial discourses. Um, and I'm trying to problematize that. But the other thing that I'm challenging is English. Um, is the iambic pentameter as a universal form? Are all these different things? And I'm trying to provide different shapes that they might take. So the poems on the page, they take different shapes as well as they represent different kinds of language, different kinds of ways of knowing a place, and different kinds of ways of speaking about that place. Perhaps I believe that poetry ought to be read. I see myself as a writer, more than anything else. But I think that a poem that is not conscious of its vocalization is a weak poem, um, and that it won't work as well on page if it isn't aware of its sound. Um, and so it seems a strange thing to privilege one over the other. But if you ask me what I'm doing, what I'm trying to do is something on the page.